of great virtue, have compassion for the sake of the assembly and all living beings. Please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to be suffering, attain bliss and birth and death, and quickly realize our world. Profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma. 100,000 years beyond difficult encounter. Now that I come to receive and maintain it within my sight hearing, I vow to have thus come through the meaning. All Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Venerable Six Vajra, Venerable Shenhua, all good advisors on the Toto. Chư Phật Bồ Sát đều sự chư Phật Tràng và với Tràng Sư Sư Mỹ Tổ Phật. Today is the second day of September 2012. We are in Rosemead to discuss the Vajra Sutra. We are on slide 283, the middle part of the slide 283. Alright, we are talking about the Aha. This Aha here is Venerable Subhuti. He is number one in understanding about emptiness. I do go there. By the way, people complain that, yes, I know. People complain that I only speak English, I don't speak Vietnamese anymore. And I said, who does speak Vietnamese too? No one comes. So I thought I could save time and explain more Dharma. But then people listen to the MP3 files and listen to watch video files. How come I don't understand anything? So now I have to make sure I speak in Vietnamese as per their request. So please bear with it. And besides, Kim Cang is here. So she's the one who transcribed the Vietnamese lecture. Actually, she's doing us a big favor. Do you know that after I speak Dharma, I forget everything. I really have a hard time. And I speak and then I forget. That's how I replenish my system quicker. I don't keep anything. So besides, I don't prepare my lectures either. I speak because of the moment. So what Kim Cang has been doing is that this is the first time in our sutra explanation, I explained 5 sutras now. I printed 5 sutras now. And all the 5 sutras that we committed to printing, to publishing, they basically are different from my original lectures because I don't remember what I lectured at all. For example, we have a slide like this today, like slide 283. This is what I was prepared like 2 years ago. Okay? And then I looked at it this week to see what I'm going to say. Okay? And so I thought I'm going to say, and then a person like Peter or Jimmy comes and say, oh, I have this question. And it's outside all my preparation. So I respond to that. And that's why there's no way to remember everything I prepared for. So what Kim Diem is doing is very important because it helps me remember the major point that's made in these slides beyond what's prepared. So we really appreciate it. So what happened is that, for example, in this Vajra Sutra, a lot of what I explained in this Vajra Sutra, I would say around 40%, 50% is beyond what's prepared. So that's the case. In all prior sutras, I lost about 30% of what I explained. The Dharma I explained without transcription. I don't have time. I don't have time to go through all those audio files again. So that's why we lost a lot. So what Kim Diem is doing is helping me save a lot of time in preparing the explanation of Vajra Sutra, the way it has been explained before. So anyway, we are at the middle part of the slide here, where Subhuti is the foremost person in the Buddha's disciple to understand emptiness. Okay. Meaning that since the moment he's born, he's destined to understand emptiness already. Because at the first day that he was born, the very day he was born, into a very rich family, all the treasure stores in the family household disappeared. All the grains, all the gold, all the silver, all the jewels that back then they wouldn't put in the bank, but they would put in their own storehouse. They all emptied out. Okay? On the day he's born. So everyone said, gee, that's such excellent professional thieves. How can they move everything, 7 storehouses, and we don't even know about it? Okay? And they reported to the police and everything, of course, but the police, as you know, we just basically call the police, and it's not here. So much for protection. They couldn't figure it out, and after Venerable Subhuti's birth, 7 days later, 1 week later, all the storehouses were restored as before. So there is a moment that this boy, this newborn boy, is associated with emptiness, connected to emptiness. It is empty, all the treasures that is valuable to all of us, for all of you. Okay? And this guy here says, with my birth, I will, I'm born to this kind of circumstances, and yet I will free myself of these circumstances and I'll attach to all of it. But he later became one, and he understood about emptiness. So, and he's the receiving end of the sutra, where the Buddha explained the principles is to Venerable Subhuti. And because he's best at being able to understand the principles in the Vajra Sutra, in the Prajna teaching, because the basis of that is emptiness. Okay? So he is he is able to develop the most profound understanding of the Buddha's teachings on the sutra. That's why he's chosen to be on the receiving end. Okay? So the Buddha here in this section is explaining about the state of 4-stage aha, which is an extraordinary state. The 4-stage aha, we've been discussing this state for the last 4 weeks. In the stage of the 4-stage aha, that's when you first begin to truly understand emptiness. Before that, you don't know what emptiness is yet. Okay. Dạ, thưa sơ, nói về cái ngài Tu Bồ Đề, thì định nhất về cái không là một cái trình độ hiểu biết mà chỉ người tứ quả La Hán là cái trình độ đầu tiên có thể hiểu được về cái không. Còn ngài Tu Bồ Đề là một cái đệ tử của Phật đã thông đạt cái thông này, với ngài được chọn là cái người đương chúng, tức là người được Phật dạy về cái giáo lý đại thừa, về cái bát nhã, còn chỉ có người hiểu về cái không để thông đạt cái giáo lý của bát nhã. Questions?
Yes. So only the Arahant has concept about what emptiness is, and all other people not reaching the level of Arahant do not understand what the emptiness is.
Yes.
So only the Arahant has
the fourth stage
only the Arahant is able to understand what the
and higher.
And higher.
Higher. The fourth stage Arahant is the lowest level of attainment. That enables you to begin to see emptiness.
So all other people.
All other levels before that, meaning first stage, second stage, first stage and so on,
cannot understand what emptiness is.
So, is the sound on?
No, it is. Okay. Well, luckily you only have 5 people today, so it doesn't matter. So that is because speaking of understanding, ông này hỏi là cái người tứ quả La Hán mới hiểu được cái không. Okay, thì nói đúng, tứ quả là cái trình độ thấp nhất mới bắt đầu hiểu được cái không. Okay. By the way, okay, emptiness as a concept, okay, meaning that you understand the concept, the definition of emptiness. Anyone can read a book and recite and repeat what a concept of emptiness is. Okay? Cái không là một cái quan niệm, một cái khái niệm mà ai thầy đọc sách cũng hiểu cái khái niệm là cái gì. It's called intellectual understanding. It's called literary understanding. Literary wisdom. It's called wisdom, by the way. It is wisdom. Buddhist wisdom. Okay? When you read a book, you read these principles, you wear these principles, that is called literary wisdom. Anyone can get that. And by the way, it's not easy to get literary wisdom. It isn't at all. Why? Why is that? Cái đầu hía từ tiên hết đó, thì cái không là cái trình độ gọi là cái văn huệ, nghĩa là đọc về cái giáo lý của cái không, về cái giáo lý của cái Phật giáo. Yes, text. Why is it not? Precisely. It is so difficult because the reality of it is that I ask you, you read so many books out there and a lot of essays on the internet. How do you know which one is proper? How do you know? Do you? Are you sure? You don't know, right? So it causes problems in us, right? We read, is this author right? Is this contradiction here between this book and the next book? This cites some Korean sources, some other cites some Indian sources, some other cites some Chinese sources and so on. How do you know which one is correct? They all claim to be right. They all claim to be sages. How do you know now? Okay?
You can just tell.
You can just tell. That's correct. Do you know that? He's right. It may sound ridiculous, but he's so right. Cái vấn đề là mình đọc nhiều sách quá, có nhiều cái tài liệu quá, mình không biết nguồn gốc từ đâu hết, mà ai cũng nói là đúng hết. Thì cái văn học nó khó cho đó, cái văn huệ nó khó cho đó, tại mình không biết cái nào đúng. We simply don't know which one is correct. I'm telling you that because it's my personal experience. Let me tell you. I was so frustrated for several years of reading books after books and after books. And every time I read a book, let's say on a Vajra Sutra, I see contradiction here and there all the time. You know what? It plays a game with your mind. He says, you sit there and you meditate and you say, wait a minute, this sounds right, this side. And then and then another section is incorrect, another section, and so you see so much conflict. And for several years, let me tell you, I struggle with the fact that I don't know which one is correct. So what? Yeah, it is so frustrating. It is frustrating because you know, after a while, you know how I did it? I began by garbage dumping. Because just like many of you, most of us, intellectuals, we read books, don't we? We do research, don't we? We're supposed to do research. We go to school, we train to do research, right? And research requires reading. Read everything and synthesize, right? And that is worldly knowledge. That's what you need to do. For transcendental knowledge, you can't do that. Okay? Because for the very problem I just described to you, conflicting information, it's not, about synthesizing at all with world transcending knowledge or wisdom. It's about getting the proper knowledge. So, it depends on who you are. Just if like myself, beforehand, I'm not sure I can remember to translate into Vietnamese, but luckily I started telling Kim Deong that maybe she should transcribe directly from English to Vietnamese right away, before I forget. So what happened is that when you're confused, you have no choice. Okay? You cannot tell one from the other. So what do? What I did is I relied on something that was designed by the Buddha. He designed a lineage of patriarchs who certify each other. For example, my teacher is a patriarch of that lineage. And before that, he was certified by his own teacher, Venerable Xu Yun. You heard of Venerable Xu Yun? Very famous monk to the West. Okay? And so each patriarch is certified by the other, the prior patriarch. They certify that this person understands Buddhism and knows how to teach Buddhism. So instead of reading a lot of garbage, which I did, I read so many books. And in the end, you know what I did? I dumped everything. I sat there, I said, this monk, no good. So whenever I meditate, all his teachings come back. See, the problem with knowledge is that you store it into your hard drive, your memory. And then every now and then you remember bits and pieces of it. Am I correct? Is it what happens to you too? Right? You read something and every now and then you remember. Right? You have flashes of recalls. Right? And that's the problem. You're recalling incorrect information. Okay? So it's a waste of time. So what I ended up doing is dumping a lot of garbage. I just threw out everything that I learned. I said, no. If it comes up, I said, it comes from that person. I said, nope. Out. And that's how you lighten your load. You carry less baggage. Okay? You need to do that first, by the way. Before you reach emptiness and beyond, then you begin to understand the principles. Then afterwards, okay? Then you can read junk and you can see goodness in it. Is it making sense? Trust me, that's a process I had to go through to decipher what is proper, what is improper. Okay? So nowadays, for example, I still spend 2 hours reading a translation from a person who, in English, about a certain Chan master, a certain teacher, a Japanese teacher. He says, I've been following this teacher for 22 years. 20 years. So I'm transcribing his lecture. So I said, this is one of the patriarchs in my lineage. Okay? So I respectfully sat there and read the documentation on the internet for 2 hours. Okay? From beginning to end. Because it happened to be a translation of the teachings from a patriarch, a Chinese patriarch. Okay? I read it, I spent 2 hours reading it. At the end, I said, all of this is junk. He doesn't understand what he's talking about. That's the problem we have with the books you find out there. They spend a lot of time, a lot of research writing it, but they don't penetrate the meaning of what those teachers are saying. Okay? So that's a problem inherent in translation. Okay? So, you really have no choice. If you don't know, don't try to read too many books. It's not worth it. Your time is too invaluable to waste it on junk, which I did for many, many years. Okay? If I were you want to learn about the true principles, stick to the patriarchs. Even like people like me, you should listen and you say, okay, but he's not a patriarch. I'm serious. Okay? You have to compare everything you read against what the patriarchs are saying. Then you're safe. Am I making sense? Yeah. You must have the fundamental knowledge that is proper, and you add to it. And it's easy to decipher. My luck is that I started out immediately with Master Hsuan Hua's teachings. So naturally, I went through the process of comparing. Okay? A lot of new information I read. And then I threw out a lot of things. But whatever I didn't understand, or whatever is not taught by Master Hsuan Hua, stuck in my memory banks. Keep on popping up. And then, in the end, I have to throw them all out. Because they're truly incorrect. Okay? Let me tell you, you may be reading books for the next 30, 40 years, like the researchers do, academia does. But unless you have enough samadhi power, you cannot penetrate it. Okay? So that's why a lot of people in a worldly sense are very knowledgeable, they're very smart, they know a lot of things, they can out-debate me in terms of principles, a lot more principles than we do, but they don't have the depth. They have the breadth, they don't have the depth. Buddhism is about depth. It's not about breadth at all. Breadth doesn't matter in Buddhism. Okay? You need to get to the heart of what the problem is. What the true principles driving all of this is. Okay? Is it clear? So, going back to your question, you stick to the patriarch's teachings, and whatever new teachings you hear of, it should be consistent with the patriarch's spirit of teaching the patriarchs. Is it clear? It helps. So what you do is if I were you, I stick to the main line of patriarchs in the history of Buddhism, Orthodox Buddhism. For example, Master Hsuan Hua is the latest one we know of. Okay? Read his stuff. And read the stuff from his the prior patriarchs, if you can. That's one thing. And then Buddhism also has a lot more schools. So each school has their own patriarchs as well. Okay? Stick to those, then you're safe. Yes?
So what's the name of the school that Master Hsuan Hua knows?
He has, the Chan school he belongs to is a Wei Yang school. Wei Yang school. But the Master Hsuan Hua is the patriarch of the major lineage of Buddhism, the main lineage called Orthodox Buddhism. Okay, or proper Dharma Buddhism. That is, the first patriarch is Mahakashyapa, who was designated as patriarch by Shakyamuni Buddha himself. Okay? Mahakashyapa. Because the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, named Mahakashyapa, the first monk, to be the first patriarch. Okay? And then Mahakashyapa, by the time he's done, let me tell you how he passed on and then he passed on the patriarchship to the second patriarch, who is Ananda. You recognize the name? Ananda is in charge of collecting all the sutras. Because he has photographic memory. Whatever the Buddha said once, he will never forget it. So he used to follow the Buddha everywhere. He listened to all his sermons. He can recite it by heart. Every single word, without missing a word. So that's why later Venerable Ananda was designated as second patriarch. Okay? And so on and so on. Until yesterday we talked about Bodhidharma, which is, I believe, the 28th patriarch from India. And last Indian patriarch. And first Chinese patriarch as he went to China. Okay? Then Master Hsuan Hua, and then Venerable Bodhidharma designated as the next patriarch and so on. So that's a direct lineage of patriarchship from Shakyamuni Buddha. All of them are enlightened people, by the way. Okay? Most of them are very, very advanced. Like Master Hsuan Hua is very, very advanced. So Master Hsuan Hua is the 44th patriarch. Stick to them. You cannot go wrong. If I were you, if I say something that is not consistent with anything they say, then I am wrong. I assure you of that. Okay? So, that's what you do. The major patriarchship, you go along that lineage that you say. And then for each school, like for example, Master Hsuan Hua is also a patriarch in a Chan school called Weiyang School. The Chinese also have 5 Chan schools. Okay? And the Weiyang is the school that Master Hsuan Hua belongs to. Okay, he's a patriarch. So in terms of Chan, there's the patriarchs there and so on. Okay? For example, a lot of famous monks, they may be famous to you, but they're not patriarchs to us. So it really limits your exposure to only the proper information, the proper theory. Okay, going back. I don't know I can explain this in Vietnamese. Kim Dien, did you get all that? Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you. It's kind of nice because when I translate, I don't do a good job translating and it breaks my chain of thoughts. So let me only try to translate and stress the things that I feel more are important. Okay, so please bear with me. I appreciate it. Where was I? Oh, we're talking about the proper information and literary knowledge. And we started by saying literary wisdom is so difficult because you cannot decipher what is proper versus what is improper. So that's why we talked about the patriarchs and sticking to the patriarch's teachings if you don't know. And again, I need to emphasize to you, don't go for volume, for quantity, go for quality. Transcendental stuff is about quality, it's not quantity at all. You know, just the proper information is more important than the volume of information. Okay? Now, so we had a problem with the literary wisdom because we, as Texas said, it is very difficult to have the chance to be exposed to the proper wisdom. Okay? Because let me tell you, of all the books printed out there, of all the website information you find out there, most of them are incorrect. And you cannot tell. You cannot tell. Yeah. And you know, let me tell you, Peter, I used to be so impressed by monks who publish like volumes upon volumes of sutras. I said, wow, this must be a bodhisattva. He explains about the Flower Dharma Sutra, he explains about the most advanced texts in Buddhism. Okay? And so everyone's so impressed by it. You know, what they did is they collected all the patriarchs' information and synthesized them. It's intellectual work. It's not true knowledge work. So the problem with synthesis in Buddhism is this. Let me stress this for your sake again. When you synthesize information from the patriarch, and when you don't really have true understanding, your synthesis is wrong. You take one line of teaching from this patriarch and combine with the next line of teaching with the next patriarch on the same topic. Logically, on paper, it makes sense. Okay? Academically speaking, semantically speaking, it may make sense. Because the same word, the same kind of context. But when I look at the way these guys are these paragraphs are put together, I see they are discordant. They're not talking about the same thing at all. For example, to help you out, for a little example, this patriarch may be talking about this principle A, let's say emptiness, but his speech is directed what? At 6 people that day. So far so good? Because the principles is, the way he explains it is to help you understand. Okay? And the second patriarch, okay, explains the same principle of emptiness, but it's to a different audience. So what he's trying to explain is entirely different. Am I making sense to you? Right? That's right. Different level of understanding. So you cannot synthesize them at all. They're not the same teaching at all. And that's the problem with intellectual compilation. It's wrong. Okay? So, don't try, you cannot synthesize until after you understand. Okay? So for example, since as long as we're on this topic, for example, the first kind of authors you can throw out right away are what kind of authors? Lay people. Throw them out right away. Don't bother. Lay people have no business explaining Mahayana. You know why? Because if the kind of lay people who truly understand, will not explain Mahayana themselves. Yes.
You say lay people, you apply to lay people who have the marital life and have some children and maintain the livelihood.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
Professors.
Yeah. So,
Professors.
For example, in Japanese Buddhism, all the priests, most 99% of the priests are married.
Yes.
They declare they are priests, but they maintain the same lifestyle as we are. So,
yes.
Would you classify them as lay persons or priests?
I would call them priests.
You call them priests, but they maintain the same lifestyle as us. Same.
I call them priests because of recognition of their status in their society. I'm being respectful.
Just being respectful and recognition only, right?
It's no need to offend people.
Yeah.
It's safe to offend them when it's only in a small crowd of 6. They cannot possibly penetrate the meaning. Yeah. For example, if you see emptiness, we talked the last few weeks about emptiness, okay? These people, 4-stage arhat in emptiness, okay? They begin to understand, have some true wisdom. Guess what happens to them? They have no more what? Kim Deal. No more what?
Desire.
Desire. Yeah.
Desire.
Yes.
Yeah.
You see? So that why, even at the lowest level of true understanding, transcendental understanding, they don't want a family anymore. They don't see the need for a family anymore. You see? So it tells you right away that my point is that, it doesn't matter how you call them, how you label them. It could be like me. You could look at a person like me as well, Kim Deal, and you say, if you know that I have, girlfriends, boyfriends, then you know that there's no sense in listening to my Dharma talks anymore. Okay? Because I'm talking about something that requires that kind of detachment. Am I making sense to you? If I cannot understand this, how can I explain it to you? I cannot use other people's words to explain to you. To me, it's a waste of time. Okay? So, lay people basically are non-sanghas. Okay? Even some sanghas, to me, are lay people. I'm not fooled by the appearances. Okay? The standard is that these people are the people that the Buddha decreed that they will transmit the Buddha Dharma. So therefore, I'm not saying that they are better than the lay people. All of them are better than lay people. They're not. Agree? They're not. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that many lay people I know of are enlightened, are better than most sanghas that I met. Okay? That's a fact. But these lay people I know of, they would not be teaching the Buddha Dharma. They would not. Why? Because that would be to go against the Buddha's decree. The Buddha is very clear. He says, my Buddha Dharma will be transmitted by monks. Yes?
It doesn't go so far as to say that they wouldn't discuss it with their family or close friends.
No, they would. They would. But they're not going to stand up there and say, I'm going to lecture to you about the Vajra Sutra. Never do that. Never. I'm going to write a book on meditation. Never. Why not? Because they would be going against the Buddha's decree as well as they're competing against their own teachers. They don't ever want to compete against their own teachers. Okay? Does it make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm saying is, even though these lay people have real understanding, great understanding, there are quite a lot of them, but they would never announce themselves as teachers of Mahayana. Never ever. So they'd never lecture, they would never write a book, okay? They would never claim that they understand Mahayana. Unless what? Yes. Unless the teacher tells them to. Unless the teacher, when they tell them, they mean they certify that's Mahayana. That's a process, by the way, that patriarchs do for each other. Mahakashyapa say, I was certified by Shakyamuni Buddha. I certify that Venerable Ananda understands Mahayana. Okay? And therefore, I name him nominate him as a patriarch. And Venerable Ananda nominated the third patriarch. And so on, and so on, and so on. So right now in our age, Venerable Shenhua is the last known patriarch. He already designated the second American patriarch already. Okay? It's up to him to decide when he's gonna announce it to the world. Okay? It's none of my business. Okay? But what happened is that these enlightened teachers, they recognize, for example, that let's say text is enlightened. Is it possible? Yeah? Okay, so for example, this enlightened patriarch says, well, I have an enlightened student here, okay? And he understands certain things, okay? So what he does is that, hey text, will you come up here and explain the Dharma? Okay? And text says, yes, I'll explain the Dharma. Because he does it under the umbrella of his teacher, his monk. That's his respect for his teachers and for the Buddha's instruction. Is it clear? So it frees yourself it frees you from get rid of a lot of authors that are not true teachers. Okay? And of course I have a disciple who says, I want to teach Buddhism, I want to learn the most of you, and make a living out of it, or devote my life teaching Buddhism, help people. And I said, you really want to do that? You have to be a monk to be a true teacher of Buddhism. Meaning no girlfriends. Okay. We got sidetracked again. Told you I can't prepare for these lectures. So anyway, so we talked about literary wisdom, meaning that you are exposed to the proper principles. So far so good? That is called literary wisdom. Okay? Now, here's what happens. Along the line what text just said. Once you're exposed to the proper principles, it registers in your psyche. Lifetime after lifetime. Believe it or not. So what happens is that in subsequent lifetimes, you listen to the principles again, what happens? It sounds right. It feels right. Ever got that experience? You know, like, this sounds right. It feels right. It's your gut feeling that tells you that, yeah. Okay? That's why it's important. And by the way, it's the same thing. If you listen to the wrong principles, it stays with you lifetime after lifetime. And guess what? They'll come. These deviant teachers, they'll come and look for you again as disciples. And the more you listen to it, the more you believe in them. And the more you give of your fortune to them. 50%, 90%, 100%. Okay? Alright. So, the nice thing about the true principles is that when you read these, it happened to me a lot when I read Master Hsuan Nhuang. I have this constant series of, it feels right, it feels right, it feels right, it feels right, it feels right. And the frequency of this make me feel comfortable. Make me believe that this is the true principles. Okay? Alright. So that's only at the level of literary wisdom. Okay? That is as far as you can go. That's it. You know about it. You heard it before. You heard it again. That's about it. Okay? It sounds right. Okay? Intellectually, gut feeling, it says, it feels good. It feels proper. But there's some next level is contemplative wisdom. Okay? Cái văn huệ, cái gọi là quán huệ. Okay? Kim Điền, quán huệ là cái trình độ thứ nhì. Văn huệ là đọc sách đúng, nghe lời giảng đúng là văn huệ. Còn cái quán huệ là mình chỉ có được khi mà mình thấy được cái không, mình mới thấy cái quán huệ. What happened is at the next level, much more critical level understanding, that aha moment, that transcendental aha moment, is called contemplative wisdom, meaning that your mind is empty. You understand emptiness. That's why it's called wisdom. Now, this wisdom here is very difficult to reach, because you have to understand emptiness. What is this understanding emptiness? It's not about being able to discourse on this endlessly, or write books about it endlessly. Okay? It can be summarized in the next few slides. That's it. You don't need to discourse. That's why I spend time to lecture you, name and list out all these principles, because you know what? When is your time to reach and develop that contemplative wisdom, you will penetrate all the information on the slides I give you. Sounds good? Shall we continue? Good advertisement, huh? Any other questions? Cái quán huệ nó quan trọng lắm, tại vì cái văn huệ là đã khó rồi. Cái khó văn huệ là ở chỗ là mình rất khó mà kiếm cái sách mà cho đúng, người thầy cho đúng. Ok? Thành ra nó có nhiều cái sự xung đột với nhau đó, một cái thầy giảng khác. Thành ra phải nên chọn cái vị tổ sư, chọn cái vị mấy tổ sư là những người họ chứng nhận nhau là họ biết về cái Phật pháp, họ biết cách dạy cái Phật pháp. Thì như vậy học từ những cái nguồn gốc đó thì văn huệ nó chính đáng, nó đúng, nó chính chắn. Ok, điều đó là mới trình độ đầu tiên thôi. Rồi xong phải tu để mà mở được cái định lực, mới thâm nhập được những cái huệ, những cái định nghĩa đó, cái lý nghĩa đó, giáo lý đó, thì mới gọi được là quán huệ. Okay? All right. Here, this Venerable Subhuti is the Buddha calls Venerable Subhuti a no strife arhat, an arhat that is no strife, meaning he doesn't fight. He has no more desire. He has no more greed. He has no more anger. You can yell at him. You can insult him. Okay? And he does not get angry. He has no more desire. You can tempt him. You can give him a lot of money. You can give him a lot of palaces. And you can give him a lot of nice cars. He's not tempted. You can't bribe him. Okay? So he has no more desire. Okay? All longings have ceased, and he's foremost free from desire. That's what is defined as purity in Buddhism. Purity is not about the lack of dust or lack of dirt. Okay? Thì cái vô tranh A-la-hán là một cái vị mà không còn cái giận hờn, không còn cái tham lam nữa. Thì cái đó là cái cảnh giới gọi là thanh tịnh. Thanh tịnh trên Phật giáo không phải là sạch sẽ, không phải là chùi cho nó sạch, phủi bụi cho nó sạch. Thanh tịnh này là cái thanh tịnh của cái sự vắng mặt của cái lòng tham, cái sự tham muốn. Purity is defined as absence of desire. So at the fourth stage arhat, okay, he is free from desire. That's why he truly understands emptiness. If you really understand emptiness, the time when you think you understand emptiness, then at that point in time you have no more desires. Is it clear? Because as long as you still like something, then your mind is still impure. It's not empty yet. Cái người mà thanh tịnh là cái người không còn cái lòng tham nữa. Tại vì nếu trong cái tâm quý vị mà còn bất cứ một cái tham vọng nào, một cái tham dục nào, thì cái tâm quý vị nó chưa thật sự là không. The mind, excuse me, that is empty will not attach to anything. Cái tâm nó không còn chấp trước cái gì nữa. Is it clear? And Subhuti here says, I do not have the thought they have obtained a no-strife samadhi, or even have certified arhatship, or number one among men, a foremost, the arhat, free from desire. Subhuti himself, he says, I have no such thought. That's why the Buddha certified me to be a no-strife arhat. Because I don't have a thought that I'm an arhat. Or I have attained no-strife samadhi. Because those would be thoughts. He's free from thoughts. Okay? That's why he's a no-strife arhat. Thì Ngài Tu Bồ Đề nói, Đức Phật nói là con đã chứng nhận rằng con là không còn cái tư tưởng, nói là con đã đắc được cái vô tranh định, hoặc là chứng được cái quả La Hán, hoặc là đệ nhất trong loài người. Thì như vậy là vẫn còn cái tư tưởng rồi cái tâm nó vẫn còn chưa trống. Yes.
Although you think it's rather hard to ascertain true freedom from thought, because right there, the fact that he had the thought to say that he didn't have the thought is already a thought. You know, there's thought, and use some words here.
Nice try, Tex. You're putting words in my mouth. Yes, you did. Did I say he has a thought? That I have no thought? You put that words in my mouth. What do you say in the slide? It says, Subhuti thinks that I do not have that thought.
You said, this is the quote, I do not have the thought.
Yeah?
I obtained those rights. That means that you said that?
Yeah, but did I put down here Subhuti thinks?
Well, he said it.
He said it.
The words to say. He didn't think it before he said it.
Text, he said it in order to explain to you and to me.
Okay.
That thought there is associated with his explanation. But by itself, he would not have any thoughts, such thought. Does it make sense? It's called compassion and kindness. If he sits by himself, okay, let's say he sits in a room, or sits out there in the tree, he wouldn't have no such thoughts.
Right.
It's only when he's with the Buddha, that's when bad things happen to him. Now he starts thinking about, how do I talk to the Buddha? For the sake of us.
Yeah. Okay.
Help us understand.
Makes sense.
Okay?
Yeah.
Alright. Because he says, if I have such a thought, then it cannot be called pure. Meaning, at least I have the desire to inform you that I have no such thought. Right? And therefore, he cannot be the one that will not contend. Hôm nay có người lý luận với thầy, thầy nói tại sao cái tư tưởng nó tôi không có cái tư tưởng đó, là sao nói là vẫn còn cái tư tưởng đó, là cái tư tưởng là tôi không có tư tưởng. Thì thầy nói đâu có đâu. Nếu mà người A-la-hán mà ở một mình á, thì ông hoàn toàn không có tư tưởng gì hết. Lý do ông có cái tư tưởng này tại ông cần giảng pháp cho mình nghe. Okay. Tại còn bất cứ cái tư tưởng nào thì gọi là thiếu cái thanh tịnh. Không thể nào nói là mình không có tham dục nữa. Okay. Any other questions? 284. Tấm 284. This is a very important point. When you cultivate the way, you should not involve in competition. You should not fight to be number one. Okay? That's very important. Okay? Cái phần quan trọng thì xin nhắc lại quý vị, nếu quý vị thực sự mà đi đang tu hành thì không thể nào tranh giành, tránh cái sự tranh giành. Okay? Because when you cultivate the way, let me tell you, people will come and challenge you and get you into a fight. Tại sự thật quý vị biết không? Là khi quý vị tu đó, you stay in your own temple, you don't go outside anymore. You just say, I want to cultivate, I want to explain Dharma here only. And then it's not enough. People will walk through the front door in the Buddha hall while you're lecturing and they say, I want to take this from you. I want to take that from you because it belongs to me, it belongs so and so and so. They will pick a fight with you. Why? Because they're testing to see whether you are cultivating or not. Okay? So, to say that you should not involve in competition actually means that if you cultivate, people will come and pick a fight with you. They will not leave you alone. And that's true cultivation, by the way. Because it's easy, Kim Dean. It's so easy to say that I don't fight, right? I know I should not fight. It's a should here, right? There's a should. See, it's very subtle, teaching very subtle. Okay? You should not, meaning that you'll be challenged to engage in a fight. That's why. That's the nature of cultivation. You understand now? They'll come and pick a fight with you. No two ways about it. That's when you appreciate it. You say, wow, shouldn't I? That is cultivation. It's so easy for you to cultivate folks going out in the mountains when no one comes and bothers you. Okay? True cultivation occurs when you're challenged. Okay. Cái phần này phần quan trọng, thầy nhấn mạnh cho quý vị nghe. Là thầy nói trong cái tấm 284 trong số 284 này á, là cái người mà tu hành là không nên đấu tranh, không nên giành làm số 1, làm số 2. Cái không nên này là chữ quan trọng. Okay. Cái người tu hành á là không nên đấu tranh, có nghĩa là sao? Ý nghĩa rằng á là khi quý vị tu á sẽ có người tới kiếm chuyện quý vị. Mình ngồi mình tính giảng kinh á thì nó tới nó vào nó phá, nó đòi lấy đồ lấy đạc, nó chửi lên nó chửi xuống, nó mắng nó nhiếc nó chửi, giờ bới tùm hết. Để làm cái gì? Để nó kiếm chuyện, để nó bắt mình đấu với nó. Thế đó mới thực sự là tu hành. Cái tu hành á là mình khi mình bị như vậy á, mình tự hỏi mình á, mình nên đấu mình không, hay là mình nên đấu là không. Mà khi mình chọn mình không đấu á thì mới gọi là tu hành. Còn chứ cái đó mới thực sự là tu. Còn tu đâu phải là mình núp ở trong cái xó, núp ở trên rừng, trên núi rồi xong mình nói không có ai mà tới làm phiền mình hết, thành mình gọi là tu. Không phải đâu. Cái tu mà thiệt sự là ngay trong cái thị xá đó mà nó tới nó phá mình, nó tới nó chửi bới, nó tới nó đổ mình đủ thứ tội hết để nó đòi mình đấu với nó. Đó mới thực sự là tu hành. Okay? That's real cultivation. Okay. All right? And people who cultivate should be like water. Cái người mà tu hành phải giống như nước. Like quoting Lao Tzu, the founder of Taoism, he's an arhat. Okay? And he says, superior goodness is like water. Thì Ngài Lão Tử phải nói rằng á là cái thường thiền đó nó giống như nước ấy. Because the water benefits a myriad of things and does not contend with them. Tại vì cái nước á nó làm lợi cho đủ thứ hết, mọi vật mà không bao giờ cạnh tranh với đó. In particular, it flows to places which repel mankind. Nhất là nó tới những cái chỗ mà cái loài người không dám tới, người ghê tởm. Okay? It dares, for example, go to ugly places. Okay? To help the ugly. And thus it approximates the way. Thành cái đó nó gần với cái đạo. nó thân cận với cái đạo. What is the way? The way, according to Taoist, as Lao Tzu taught it, the way is the way of nature. Okay? You don't go against nature. Like water, it flows. It never fights. It never does anything against nature. Okay? Là cái đạo này, bên đạo giáo, đạo là cái thiên nhiên, là cái tự nhiên, nó không bao giờ cạnh tranh, nó vô tranh, nó vô chấp. Is it clear? That is a state, a very high state of wisdom. Okay? Everything is natural. Okay? The natural here is natural goodness. Unfortunately, the Taoists didn't spell it out for them. Lao Tzu didn't spell it out for them. The real nature is the nature of goodness. It's the ultimate nature. It's the nature of goodness. Any questions? Cái đạo này là cái đạo, thiệt ra bên ngài đạo giáo, mấy khổng tử, mấy lão tử nó giảng chưa kỹ đó. Cái đạo này là cái đạo của cái tự nhiên, của cái thiên nhiên. Và cái đạo tự nhiên thiệt ra đó, nó sâu hơn là cái đạo của cái tuyệt tốt, của cái tốt. Đáng tiếc là lão tử chưa giảng tới nơi tới chốn. 285. The one mark is no mark. World honored one, if I had the thought I have attained arhatship, then the world honored one could not say, Subhuti is the foremost of those who delight in practicing arana. And since Subhuti actually has no practice, he's called Subhuti who delights in practicing arana. Yeah, try to make sense of this. It bothered me too. I read this, yeah, right. And that's the nice thing about this. You just read it and don't try to understand. There's a humor behind it. And there's a lot of depth behind it as well. And this is the nature of learning about Buddhism. When you listen to the true principles, it does not have to make sense to you. It's more important to listen to it first. That's the part I forgot to mention when I explained about literary wisdom. Literary wisdom is exposure, not understanding. Just be exposed to it. Just read it. Read it and read it and read it. That's all you do. If you understand, fine. You don't understand, that's fine too. Why? Plant the seeds. What else? For future understanding, what else? What else? Quickly. Why is it important just to read the principles and not insist on understanding it? Why? Yes?
Well, you don't want to use your discriminating mind.
That's right. You don't want a discriminating mind. Don't discriminate. Don't think. You get it, fine. You don't get it, it's okay too. Okay? Let me translate this. This is very important. Tại sao nghe cái chánh pháp, nghe cái giáo lý đàng hoàng, để được cái văn huệ đó thì không cần phải hiểu. Lý do thứ nhất. What's the first reason? Okay. Oh, never mind. I forgot already. Plant the seeds, okay, of future understanding. Thank you. See, Kim Cang is getting desperate. And number two, non-discriminating mind. Cái lý do thứ nhất là mình trồng cái chủng tử để trong tương lai mình hiểu. Thứ nhì, mình bớt cái tâm phân biệt đấy. Đừng có đòi. Cái phân biệt là cái này cái nọ. Mình tâm suy nghĩ đó. Okay, so understand that the understanding has to be natural again. If you get it, fine. You don't get it, it's okay. You get it down the road. Okay, and number two, don't try to discriminate too much. Your mind is still thinking too much. Okay, just read. Number three is more subtle. What is number 3? I forgot. I just forgot. Yes.
Creating entities with the true form.
No, it's very subtle. This is, I have to point it out to you. This is why all of you are dead in the waters right now. Okay? This is number 3. No one ever dare explain to you. Cái lý do thứ 3 này không ai dám giảng cái vị hết. Ngày nay thầy giảng tại thầy thấy ít người, thầy nói phật lòng của vài người không sao hết. Cái lý do thứ 3 là tại vì không được đòi hiểu. Tại cái đòi hiểu là cái lòng tham. Có lòng tham nó không thể nào hiểu được. Nghe rõ không Kim Điền? Cái đó nó tế nhị dễ sợ. Vì cái lòng tham nó mà không thể nào hiểu được. Okay, where were we?
Number 3.
I'm playing with you. Number 3. Very, very important. Anyone talk about number 1, number 2? That's clear. I'm choosing my words, making sure the text gets it. Number 3. It's very subtle. You may not, should not insist on understanding. You should not insist on understanding. Because, why not? Because to insist on understanding is the greedy mind. He says, my time is important. I don't have time to waste. I need to understand this. I don't want to waste my time. That is greed and arrogance. You get it? Very subtle. All of you, that's your problem. That's why you can't understand. Because if you have that kind of mind, say, I'm too busy, I'm too important, my time is valuable, I don't want to waste my life, I don't have much time left. Okay? It's a mind of greed and arrogance. That's why you cannot understand for the first place. Isn't that scary? You cannot understand because you're greedy and because you are arrogant. If you're like that, forget it. You'll never be able to develop contemplative wisdom. Never. Is it clear? No. Peter said, I'm out of here. I'm never going to do it. Do you agree with that text? The subtlety here is very, very important. It takes a teacher like me to dare look at you in the face and say, you should not insist on understanding. I'm telling you that you should develop the attitude that if I understand, great. I don't understand, it's okay too. I will. And be happy with it. Don't insist on understanding. Don't insist on saying I'm important or, I don't want to waste my time. That's very important. I have to let go of that demand. Okay? It's one of the most difficult things to do, by the way. To develop true understanding. That's why it's so difficult to develop true understanding. Because you're greedy, because you're arrogant. Which manifests itself on the insisting on understanding right away. Of course you will understand, I assure you. You will understand. You have no choice. You will understand. Trust me. You have no choice but understand it. But it has to be a little bit longer before that happens. Is it clear? So there's no need to insist right now. Cái này quan trọng là tại vì thầy nói là không cần phải đòi hiểu ngay lập tức. Tại sao vậy? Tại vì trước sau gì quý vị sẽ hiểu. Không bao lâu nữa quý vị sẽ hiểu. Thành đòi làm cái gì? So for you to insist on understanding right away is not necessary. There's no need. That's how you get rid of it. Okay? There's no need at all. You will understand. Just be patient. Chỉ cần kiên nhẫn một tí nữa, đợi thêm một tí nữa, từ từ sẽ hiểu. Tự động nó sẽ hiểu, chắc chắn sẽ hiểu. Không cách nào không hiểu được hết. Thành đòi hiểu ngay làm cái gì? Cái đó không cần thiết. All right. Since Subhuti actually has no practice, it's called Subhuti delights in practicing arana. 世尊，我若做训练，我得阿罗汉道。世尊得不说Subhuti是乐二兰那行者，以Subhuti实无所行。二名Subhuti是乐二蘭na xịn. Thế Tôn, nếu con tác niệm ta đắc đạo A-la-hán thì Thế Tôn liền chẳng nói tu Bồ Đề ưa hành A-la-na. Vì tu Bồ Đề thật không chỗ hành nên nói tu Bồ Đề là người ưa hành A-la-na. I'm on slide 288. Here the concept called arana. Quan niệm là A-la-na. It's Sanskrit that can be translated as still and quiet. Thì được dịch ra là tĩnh. Okay. In that state, there's no phenomenon. Trong cái cảnh giới của cái alana này, nó vô sự. Vô sự. Okay. What does it mean? No phenomenon. This is another concept that's very important as well. You need to be aware of. Okay? What is a phenomenon? A phenomenon is an example or manifestation. Okay? Cái sự là gì? Cái sự là một cái ví dụ hoặc là một cái hiện diện ra. Okay? Because in Buddhism there's two concepts, phenomenon and noumenon. Okay? Bên Phật giáo có cái sự với lý. Okay? Noumenon is the principle. Okay? Buddhist principle, for example, the principle of emptiness. It's called principle. It's called noumenon. Okay? Phenomenon is a manifestation of that principle. Okay? If you will, if you understand, if you have a little bit of background in mathematics, or you're learning about mathematics, mathematics has something called a theorem. Right? You learn about something called theorem. For example, it says E equals mc squared. That's a theory. Okay? And so the theorem has application of the theorem. Okay? So the principle is the theory, the noumenon. The phenomenon is the application of the theory, a manifestation of that theory in the real life. An application of that. For example, okay? We talk about the theory, the noumenon of emptiness. Lý跟sự. Okay? Lý với sự. Lý là chỉ là cái giáo lý. Sự là một cái ví dụ của cái giáo lý đó. Ví dụ như cái lý là cái lý của cái không. Okay? Cái sự là một cái ví dụ của cái không. Cái người mà hiểu được cái không rồi thì tự nhiên con người đó sẽ không còn tham nữa. Là cái sự. Không còn tham lam nữa. Là sự. Tại sao? Tại vì người hiểu được cái chân lý rồi. Cái chân lý là đã không rồi còn gì đâu mà tham lam nữa. Đấy. 理跟事是这样子，理就是你说，比方说理就是共理 ，OK， 事就是说你没有妄欲，没有欲，是一个事，因为是如果你真的懂理，就不会有什么欲 ，OK， 那是事 ，OK，You understand? The principle, the noumenon is that everything is empty. It's called the theory of emptiness. It says, you are empty, I'm empty, this camera is empty, this temple is empty. Okay? What does it mean? That if this is there's an earthquake and this temple disappears, or there's a fire that burns it down. There's no attachment. Or they take things from this temple. No attachment. Okay? Because everything's empty. Why should I get offended by this, by that? Right? That's a phenomenon. If you understand the principle of emptiness, then it is manifests itself in your action. Phenomenon is your action, is your behavior, is your conduct. Is it clear? If you understand the principles, then it manifests itself in your conduct, in your behavior. 理跟是这个关系是理是你懂的东西，就你的事就是你的行为，你的行为应该反映你所懂的理，对不对？比方说，如果是你真的懂那空的道理，有人来偷你的东西，你不会烦恼，因为是你知道是那个东西都是空，所以不必烦恼，对不对？这样是事。Okay. 事是你的行为. Cái lý với sự nó quan trọng. Cái lý là mình hiểu cái đạo lý. Ok. Cái lý mà nói là mình hiểu tất cả mọi sự đều là không. Đó chỉ là một cái giáo lý thôi. Nhưng một khi quý vị hiểu nó không rồi, sẽ có người tới vào cái Phật điện quý vị, ăn cắp cái đồ quý vị, kích thích quý vị, chọc giận quý vị, kiếm chuyện quý vị. Mà quý vị thực sự mà hiểu cái lý không á, là quý vị sẽ không phiền não. Tại cái hành động quý vị sẽ nó phản ảnh cái đó. Quý vị sẽ không hoàn toàn không phiền não, không giận, không hờn, không có gì hết. Ok? Đó là cái sự. Is it clear? The phenomenon is observed by your behavior. Your behavior reflects your understanding of the principles. Okay? So what does it mean, no phenomenon? Anyone? You think you get away with sitting there and doing nothing? It doesn't work like that in my lecture. I test your comprehension right away. I just explained to you a very profound principle, very important concept in Buddhism. Nomenon, phenomenal. Thầy mới giảng quý vị cái lý với sự đó. Thầy hỏi quý vị ngay lập tức. Thành khi trong cái bài, trong cái tấm này 288 nói là vô sự như là sao? Thế là ngũ sự là什么意思? Come on. Don't fall asleep.
You perceive phenomena through your whole self, right? You perceive your phenomena, what you see is seen by your five senses, six senses, which are not true yourself. Then what you perceive is fake.
Yes. And what does it mean, no phenomenon? Close. Okay. I will forgive you for that. Anyone else? Yes.
I'll give it a try. Does that mean no changes would affect you? Like you're completely detached from attachment?
Very close. Very, very close. Excellent. What's your name? What do you learn Buddhism from? Very good. Anyone else? Anyone else? If inside your mind is still and quiet, then there is no phenomenon. If you understand emptiness, it's still and quiet inside. It's very, very quiet, very peaceful. Then there's no phenomenon. Very good, very good. This guy is so attached to his castle, his worldly possessions. cái tịch tỉnh đó, là cái trong cái đầu của quý vị nó được thanh tịnh, nó được an lạc. Chỉ chính, 那个境界或是境界，境界，那个境界是里面在里面脑里没有什么事情。OK， 所以这境界是无事。Got it? Okay. Cái tâm quý vị mà nó tịch tỉnh là cái tâm nó an lạc, nó hoàn toàn nó im lặng, thì như vậy quý vị sẽ thành vô sự. Tại sao? If your mind is still and quiet, then there's no phenomenon. That's my hint to you. Get it or not? If your mind is still and quiet, meaning that no attachments. Okay? No attachment. 你的心是极静，就你不会有什么执着，对不对？ And therefore, you will not react when people come and test you. Is it clear? No phenomenon, no behavior. You cannot observe behavior. Isn't that beautiful? Huh? Because you have no attachment whatsoever. You want to take it? Take it. Oh, by the way, you're stealing from me. Okay? Is it clear? You don't react. You don't get afflicted. Okay?
You have to kill your prestige.
You what? Kill my prestige? Very perceptive. Yeah. Very perceptive. Nghe không? Khi mà nó tịch tỉnh rồi á, là vô sự, có nghĩa là sao? Mình hoàn toàn không có phản ứng nào hết. Nó tới, nó chửi mình, nó mắng mình, nó ăn cắp đồ mình. Mình nói ok, ăn cắp thì ăn cắp đi, lấy thì lấy đi. Mình nói cho quý vị biết, vì đã ăn cắp đó, quý vị ráng mà chịu. Ăn tạo nghiệp ráng mà chịu. Phiền não làm gì? Mình đi giảng kinh tiếp. Thì giờ đâu? Tụi nó tạo nghiệp nó ráng mà chịu. Okay? Is it clear? The no phenomenon here means you don't react, you don't get afflicted. They do anything, but you will not react to them. What's another explanation for that? That's called samadhi. Thus unmoving. They cannot move you. That's why there's no phenomenon. Is it clear? No matter what they do, they yell at you, they insult you, they say, you are an unworthy monk, you are a coward, you are unethical, you are a thief, you are all those things. For half an hour, you listen to them. Oh yeah? Oh yeah? Tiếng nói tụng mà. Let me explain in Vietnamese. Cái vô sự như vậy này, vô sự là nó tới cho quý vị một cái ví dụ, người ta vô sự, người ta tới vào trong Phật điện quý vị đó, ngay chỗ quý vị thờ phượng đó, Phật Bồ Tát đó, nó chửi quý vị là cái đồ nó chửi tục quý vị, nó nói là quý vị đồ ăn cắp, nói quý vị là cái đồ không xứng đáng, nói quý vị đồ hèn hạ, cái này nọ hết đó, ok, nó nói nửa tiếng đồng hồ, mình nói ô vậy hả, mình hoàn toàn không tiền nào kể tới nó tạo nghiệp, nó ráng mà chịu, mình đâu có tạo nghiệp đâu. And this is, folks, this is fundamental to the arhats. He will not react to you. You cannot provoke him. That's why I said earlier, that's how the arhat behaves. He will not compete with you. You cannot get him to compete and fight with you. Okay? No matter how hard you try. Okay? Okay? You only tire yourself. Getting worked up. The heart will not react to you, will not engage with you. Period. Okay? Yes?
So, arhats don't have a sense of humor.
They don't have a sense of humor? Not all arhats. Some arhats have no sense of humor at all, I agree. I show you some pictures. You look at the face, oh my God. Okay? But some arhats very humorous. Okay? It's okay to have humor. I prefer the arhats to have humor, by the way. I don't like the arhats to have no humors. Người nói, vậy có hỏi là vậy A-la-hán có cái khôi hài không? Thầy nói là tùy người, có những người A-hán hoàn toàn nghiêm, dễ sợ, không khôi hài hết đó. Có những người A-hán rất là khôi hài. Thì cá nhân thầy thích người A-la-hán có khôi hài hơn. Alright, any other questions? In this state, there's no mark outside, there's no mind inside. Cái cảnh giới này, ở ngoài là không có cái tướng gì cả, ở trong thì không có cái tâm. 这个境界是相近于外，欣喜于内。What does it mean? Outside, no mark. 外边没有相，ở ngoài không có tướng. Nghĩa là sao? Everything is empty. Outside. Is it clear? So what? So what that the car is white, or the car is dented, or the house on fire? All those are marks. We don't attach to it. Okay? So outside we are attached to no marks. Ở ngoài mình không chấp một cái tướng gì hết, có nghĩa là xe nó cháy, nhà nó sụp, mình không coi, cũng không có gì hết. Okay? Inside there's no mind. 里内没有心 meaning what? Even your mind doesn't even move. Cái tâm mình không có động. 你的心不动，不会动。Is it clear? What does it mean that no mind inside? No thoughts. You cannot get this guy to move, to generate a thought. Cái người này mình không thể nào khiến người ta động cái tâm, có nghĩa là khởi một cái tư tưởng, chỉ一个思想，他不会起什么思想。没有什么思想 ，OK， 没有妄念，没有一个妄念，连一个妄念也没有 ，OK， It's always quiet, OK， lúc nào cũng yên tĩnh hết. This is why let me tell you, you cannot observe this. Let me tell you. This is fascinating to me because I keep on telling people that, but people won't pay attention. You go to India, to those ashrams, and you see these guys with hair on top, okay, and they sit there, and that's a state very close to always quiet. The mind is so quiet. They're so detached. Okay, the mind is not quite quiet yet. But it's very close. It's about 50%. Okay? And that's an incredible state. Because our mind is so noisy. We have so many thoughts. Crisscrossing constantly. These guys, they virtually have no thoughts. They have very, very subtle thoughts they can't even see. But that's very remarkable. Mấy cái đề bác định của bên Ấn Độ giáo đó, mấy cái ngài mà vấn tóc ngồi trong mấy cái đền thờ của Ấn Độ giáo đó, người ta ngồi đó mà cái tâm vọng tưởng rất là ít, Rất là tuyệt vời. Nhưng còn xa lắm, chứ phải là như cảnh giới Alana này đâu. And that's another name for no stripe samadhi. Đó là một cái tên khác cho cái vô tranh định. Any questions about this? Okay. 289. 289. When you practice the arana, then you cannot say that you practice arana. That is, you practice pure conduct, including the thought of attaining the 4 stage arhatship. That would be a contention, would be impure. Impure means that thought is impure. Contention, you have comparison. It's a very subtle form of contention, right? I have obtained something. That's a form of contention. You notice that? It's very subtle. If you begin first by comparing. Okay? Cái alana, hạnh là một cái hạnh mà nếu mà nói là ngài tu Bồ Đề đang tu cái hạnh alana đó, thì cái đó không thể nói rằng là ngài đang tu cái tình hạnh. Tại ngay cái tư tưởng mà đắc được cái quả đó là một cái sự cạnh tranh và cái bất tịnh. Bất tịnh tại còn cái tư tưởng, còn một cái tư tưởng là tôi được cái quả. Cái cạnh tranh là tại sao? Cạnh tranh là có cái sự so sánh. Quả vị với không quả vị. Nó bắt đầu với cái so sánh. Ngộ vô hề. Chẳng có gì. Tiếng nó tụng mà. Xê xê nì. Thì hẳn慈悲啊. And therefore, if you still have the thought that I'm practicing arana, then that will not be free from desire, and that's simply a false thought. And all arhats, when you get to stage arhat, it's called practicing and yet without practicing. Remember, yesterday we talked about contention and yet no contention. Same exact principle. Tới trình độ A-la-hán thì mình không còn một cái sự tranh giành nào cả. Thành lúc mình tu, thiệt ra mình tu mà giống mình không tu. Giống ngày hôm qua mình giảng pháp và nói là mình tranh, thiệt ra mình không tranh. Okay. Đó là cái cảnh giới nó tương tự như vậy. Người ta không còn chấp vào một cái gì nữa, không còn chấp vào cái ngã, không còn chấp cái pháp. Và trong cái tâm đó không có cái gì mà phải đáng chấp trước hết. Okay. 那个境界是没有什么思想，没有妄念也没有一个念在说我在修行，或是我不在修行。是那境界是你修行，可是好像是没有修行。我不修行，你不修行，可是你在修行，是没有那个不修行或者修行的相，修行的或不修行的执着。It's important to distinguish this because actually they cultivate and yet they don't cultivate. They don't cultivate and yet they cultivate. Why is that? Because they don't attach to either cultivation or non-cultivation. You see, for us lazy people, we say we don't want to cultivate. We'd rather enjoy ourselves. It's an attachment to non-cultivation. Am I correct? Whereas for you, great disciples and students of the Buddha Dharma, you say we cultivate. Then you fall into the side of attaching to cultivation. The arhat is neither. He's in the middle. He's attached to neither side. Is it clear? Okay. He's attached to nothing. He's attached to no self. He's attached to no dharma. Self is the person who cultivates. Dharma is that I'm cultivating something. Dharma is anything. Okay? Dharma refers to anything. That's a technical jargon, Buddhist jargon. Dharma is just anything. You cannot come up with a name, you say Dharma. Okay? So, you don't attach to yourself cultivating, you attach to anything you're cultivating. Okay? There's nothing whatsoever. And that's why the mind is nothing that he's obtaining. Okay? Thành bởi vậy, cái tâm nó không chấp vào cái gì hết, không chấp vào ngã, không chấp vào pháp. Thì bởi vì trong cái tâm không thấy có gì mà có thể khả đắc, bất khả đắc. 所以你没有什么执着，你不执着自我，你不执着法，所以在心里没有什么可以得的。Any questions? We're plodding right along. 290. Therefore, when they practice the arana thing here, it's only a name to describe, to help you understand. They don't even see themselves practicing arana. Okay. Thành cái người mà tu hành arana này, mà hiểu rồi, mà thông đạt rồi, thì trong tâm họ không thấy họ tu arana nữa. Để họ phải nói, họ giảng cái gì nghe thôi. Chứ trong tâm họ không thấy tu gì hết. Okay. Vì cái arana chỉ là một cái hư danh để giúp chúng ta hiểu cái pháp thôi. Okay. 修行二兰那的行知道是二兰那只是一个妄名。So what happens is Subhuti, who practiced arana, the arana conduct, okay, he basically cultivates purity. Yeah. Cái người mà tu hành arana là cái người tu cái thanh tịnh hạnh. 二兰那行者是在修那个静静的行为。Okay. However, there's no fixed or actual substance. There's no thing, no dharma which he has obtained. Not even anything called arana in his mind. Okay. Thành cái người này khi mà nói họ thì họ trong tâm họ không thấy cái gì là alana nữa, nói gì gọi là xứng đáng gọi là alana nữa. 这个人那时候不会在心里会有什么妄想，一定是不会想是我得了二兰那的行法，二兰那的法。So in essence, when you reach a fourth stage arhatship, okay, when you reach a fourth stage arhatship, at that point in time, okay, it cannot occur unless, and let me show a distinction for your sake. Okay, để dạy quý vị cái phần này quan trọng. When you cultivate, you say, I want to reach fourth stage arhatship, right? Cái vị tu là phải nói, tôi muốn đắc tứ quả La Hán. Am I correct? We all agree on that. Yeah, we all want a fourth stage arhatship, right? It sounds good, right, Ginny? It sounds good. Whatever it is, it sounds good. I want it. It's great, actually. And it's free. So it's not bad. I love freebies. Okay? It doesn't cost anything. So it's worthwhile. Okay? We all want to get there. Okay? But the closer you are to it, that very moment, just before you get it, you say, I don't want it anymore. That's when you get it. Because as long as you still have that thought, you cannot get there. And this is the problem with the worldly people.
So you're saying, you have the thoughts, I don't want it anymore, or you just cease to have thoughts?
You cease to have that thought. Yeah. That's correct. Very good. Yeah. At that point, you naturally cease, by the way. You naturally cease. Excellent. Very good text. So you need a goal in life, like everything else in life. You need a goal. You need to set the proper goal, the worthwhile goal. Okay? And then, when you get close to it, naturally, you stop wanting it. That's when you get there. Isn't that fascinating? For us worldly people, when you get a goal of becoming a millionaire, when you get there and say, ha ha, $1 more, right? It doesn't work like that in transcendental pursuits. You have to let go. Then you get all of it. Isn't that beautiful? That's the difference. That's the difference. Okay?
How many times do we have to read more?
I'm not answering that. Never mind. Nói cái việc nghe cho vui. Nói chuyện nhảm thì mình tu ai cũng vậy, mình biết là ai cũng muốn nên đắc tới tứ quả La Hán, tại vì cái quả vị nó tuyệt vời, đều thành mình được đặt mục tiêu là muốn tới đó, để càng ngày càng tới gần đấy. Muốn khi mà thiệt sự mà sắp tới nồi rồi, tới quả La Hán rồi, thì phải xả cái tâm là muốn tới tứ quả La Hán mới tới được. Cái thế gian pháp á, là cái vị cha muốn làm triệu phú là phải cần có thêm 1 đồng là tôi được 1 triệu rồi, mình chụp thêm 1 đồng là mới được. Còn cái tứ quả La Hán mình phải xả hết tất cả mình mới tới được. OK， 听得懂吗？你应该有一个目的，很值得，是你很值得要得到4果阿罗汉，要修行得要想得4果阿罗汉那个时候你刚刚要达到4果阿罗汉，你应该把这个念要得4果阿罗汉除掉，才可以得4果阿罗汉。Okay? So that's what he said. Even though this guy at that point, he's certified to 4th stage Arhat, in his mind, he says, it's nothing. That's when he truly gets it. That's why his wife turned to him and said, did you get it? Did you get it? He says, no. Goodbye, honey. See you next lifetime. Okay?
He doesn't realize that he obtained the Arhat.
No, he does. He does know. He does know. He does know. He's aware. Why? Because he's no longer attached to that. You see, just before he is so attached, remember, it takes a lot of intensity to get there. Get so close. Because it takes a lot of want, a lot of desire. I want this so much, I want so much, I'm willing to give up this. Okay? Because I want to see what it's like. And so when he gets it, he says, wow, it's worthwhile, it's wonderful. Okay? He realizes it's wonderful. When the 4th stage Arhatship, you experience this kind of bliss that you never experienced before. That's why you know. The bliss from the freedom of any desire is incredible bliss. That's why he knows. It's no longer mental, it's no longer intellectual. He knows from his guts, because his guts tells him, it feels so good. Never like this before. I'm so free. It's so wonderful. It feels so wonderful. I've never been this free before. So he knows. Cái này đặc biệt lắm, kim điệp. Người tứ quả La Hán á, okay, tới đó câu hỏi là người lúc mà đắc cái tứ quả La Hán có biết mà đắc được hay là không biết? Tại vì thầy cứ nói hay là tới đó họ không thấy gì hết á, làm sao mình biết đắc được tứ quả La Hán? It's a good question, by the way. It's a tough one. You are a dangerous one. Thành thầy mới giảng cho ông biết cái câu hỏi này họ hóc búa đó, nhưng phải cái ông này ông khỉ. Chưa muốn hỏi cái câu hóc búa không? I explained in Vietnamese that your question is very tough in very unflattering terms. Just want to make sure you don't miss anything in the translation. Cái câu hỏi này hóc búa không? Tại ông nói tới đó thầy nói ông không đắc gì hết, không biết có được tứ quả La Hán không? Biết hay là không? 你知道我是在常常说你得4果阿罗汉的时候不会想没有得什么，所以他的问题是那他知道他知不知道是得了10果阿罗汉？那个他知道，所以那个问题很难啊，他不好人啊。听得懂吗？ý gì điền á. Thành cái ông này ông hóc búa lắm, thành ra Khi mà tới tứ quả La Hán họ biết chứ. Tại sao họ biết? Tại vì như vậy này, khi mà quý vị đắc tứ quả La Hán một cái á, thì cái lạc đó, cái lạc nó tuyệt vời, nó sướng không thể tưởng được. Tại sao có cái lạc đó? Cái lạc đó là cái lạc nó sinh trưởng từ cái sự vắng mặt của tất cả cái vọng niệm, tất cả cái tham dục. Nó sướng không thể tưởng được. Thành ông biết ngay lập tức. Ông nói chưa bao giờ tôi sướng như vậy. Bạn biết ngay lập tức. Tại vì không tham nữa mới sướng được như vậy. Nghe rõ không? Okay. Remember, one hard question per session. Okay. So the mind says, I actually obtained nothing. There's nothing in the mind. But the gut feeling is that the bliss is there. The bliss from the lack of thoughts. Okay? Therefore, when you look, you cannot see it. 所以视之不见，没有什么可见的。Vì vậy, thị chi bất kiến, có nghĩa cái vị nhìn, trố mắt mà nhìn không thấy được cái gì hết. You see a guy who reached a fourth stage arhat. Can you see anything? Do you see any special thing about says, whoopee, I got fourth stage hardship? No, he never do it. We never act any differently than before. Not different than before. So you can't see anything. Thành cái người này mà tới tứ quả La Hán rồi, người ta không nhảy lên nhảy xuống đâu, nói là tôi đắc tứ quả đâu. Ngài chỉ như thường ấy, giống như không có chuyện gì xảy ra ấy. Thành mình nhìn, trố mắt mà nhìn, không nên biết là đắc được hay không đắc được. Okay? Those who listen cannot hear. Trố tai mà nghe không được hết. Yeah. There's nothing at all that's manifest. That is, remember earlier, the no phenomenon. Okay. Yeah. Vô hữu, không có gì, không có được cái gì hết. Tức là cái vô sự mà mình nói cái mà hai ba tấm trước. No phenomenon whatsoever. Okay. That is what the Chinese, this is the typical of the arhat. A very important concept. Wu zuo. Okay. Vô sự. Okay. Người A-la-hán vô sự. Không có làm gì hết. Wu zuo, vô tác. Wu zuo translated into English as non-action or no phenomenon. Is it clear? The Chinese always use the word 无作 that indicates as an arhat state, non-action. He will not act. No matter what you do, he will not react. That's why you're so free. No matter what, you're still at ease. Okay? They can't make you to act. You can't get you to act. You're free. It doesn't mean you don't care. You care, but you're free. You will not react. Is it clear? You're not dead. You simply will embrace everything. In Mahayana perspective, understand the non-action doesn't mean you're dead. Non-action means you accept everything. You don't reject anything. Neither the good nor the bad. You accept everything. It's good, wonderful. It's bad, it's okay. That's called freedom. Don't you agree? You are not free because you insist on either good or bad. Right? The masochists want pain for others, for themselves. Okay? They insist on the negative. Okay? So, you're free from either extremes, from action. Thành cái thị chi bất kiến, thinh chi bất văn, vô hữu, có nghĩa là hồi nãy mình giảng đó, vô sự đó, tức là cái A-la-hán gọi là vô tác, ngũ zuo. Thì dầu bố huệ dầu sớm mới phản nhìn ngũ zuo. Clear? Isn't it wonderful? Think about it. We always initiate things. I want this, I want that. It's from desires. The Arhat says, it's okay. Whatever happens, I accept. And that's the state of utmost happiness, by the way. Cái cảnh giới là cảnh giới của cái hạnh phúc tuyệt vời, sự khoái lợi, chân khoái lợi. Thuận nhi thuận nhi, you agree or disagree? Because as long as you insist on either the negative or positive, you are unhappy when it doesn't happen. Agree? Tại vì khi một khi cái vị đòi có là không, thì cái vị sẽ bất hạnh khi mà nó không được có. 如果你是想要什么不得的话，你会不乐，不喜欢，那就是不好。所以真的快乐就是没有什么妄欲，什么都好的，那很微妙的境界。This is a wonderful, wonderful state. This is the state of constant happiness. No matter what, you're happy. You see that? You have it, you're still happy. You don't have it, you're still happy. You enjoy what you have. You still enjoy what you don't have.
But at the fourth level, you still have to eliminate the desire.
Yes.
It's very hard.
It's very hard. Yes. It's not easy. But it's hard because at very far from it, we think it's hard. As you get closer and closer, it's a lot easier. Trust me. It's hard at the lower end. The lower end is hard. But as you get closer to the fourth, it's much easier. Okay? Because as you get, the reason, I'm not saying that as a commercial, as to mislead you. I'm saying that because it's true. The higher you get up there, the easier it is for you to let go. Right now it's hard because it's very tough for us to let go. We're so attached. But the fact you have the literary wisdom to know that you should let go will help you eventually get there. This is important, folks, because, by the way, very few teachers would dare tell you that getting rid of sexual desire is desirable, is a good thing. They wouldn't dare talk to you like that. Because I'd have to tell you that because I have to give you the proper literary wisdom. If I dance around it, then my Buddha Dharma, the Buddha Dharma I'm teaching, is not the true Buddha Dharma. I have to tell you the truth. Otherwise, you'll be wasting your time. Yes?
Well, they normally do dance around all
Yes.
the top teachers, all the Tibetans,
Yes.
all the teachers,
Yes.
all the all
And what bothers me about the way Buddhism is taught out there is that they say happiness is based on getting what you want. That's not true happiness. It's not a Buddhist happiness. Buddhist happiness is letting go. To let go. To learn to let go. That's when you get true happiness. It's very easy. It's not easy. But it's the truth. It's not. And that's what people don't dare tell you about. They say, because what? If I tell you to let go, then how can I tell you to give me money? Or buy my book? Or give money donate money to my temple? Right? It doesn't help me. So I'd rather dance around it. And hopefully you like me enough to give me money. In subtle ways. So that's why the literary wisdom is so important. You understand that? It's important. I'd rather offend you right now and say, okay, sexual desire is not as great as you think. And I have proof for you, because the higher you reach, the more you see through sexual desire, you see sexual desire is not great. There's something else much more fascinating, much more rewarding than sexual gratification. I tell you flat out. So much more. And the ultimate at your level is at the fourth stage. It's ultimate. It's so wonderful. I mean, at that stage, you look at sexual result. Please. And you call it great? Come on. And along the way, you begin to see it already. Okay? That's what's so fascinating about cultivation, I tell you, I assure you. It is so fascinating because the progress helps to make it easier and easier and easier. As long as you believe and have the proper literary wisdom. You agree that the path has to go through no sexual desire. If I tell you there's an easier path that go like this, it will take you a lot longer. Okay? You eventually get there. But that's not literary wisdom. Is it clear? Cái phần này phần quan trọng. Thầy phải giảng cho rõ ràng. Phần đa số những cái thầy mà giảng là thầy giảng ta ngại nói cái chuyện mà cái tình dục. Ta nói là bỏ chuyện tình dục là chuyện khó mà giảng cho người ta lắm. Thầy nói là cái văn huệ chân chính là phải nói phải tin rằng là bỏ cái tình dục. 不要欲念，去文慧，真的文慧是你应该相信是欲念是不好，对你不好。Okay, all the teachers don't dare talk like that. 别的师父不敢这么说，像你这么说。Okay. Thì những cái thầy khác không dám giảng cái vị như vậy. Tại sao? Tại vì nó khó mà giảng. Nhất là nói một chuyện có hài một tí. Nếu mà nói cái gì mà không có tham lam, không có tham nữa thì làm sao mà nó khuyên cái vị là cúng tiền cho thầy để mà thầy mua xe hơi, mua xây nhà lầu, xây chùa bây giờ. Ok? Thành ra cái chuyện mà cái văn huệ chân chính là quý vị phải hiểu rằng là cái tình dục là một cái vô minh. 你应该文慧，就是说你的欲念只是无明，对你不好。The proper literal wisdom is to say sexual desire is simply ignorance. It causes problems. Okay? Thành ra mình thấy cái vô minh như vậy, thành ra nếu quý vị tin được như vậy thì có thể cái về tới được cái tứ quả La Hán nó lẹ hơn nhiều, có thể mở cái huệ chân chính nó lẹ hơn nhiều. Tại sao như vậy? Tại là lúc đầu cái trình độ đầu thì nó hơi khó một tí, mà tại vì cái dục vọng nó còn nhiều, càng ngày càng lên cao thì dục vọng nó càng ít, thì lúc đó cái tình dục nó dễ dàng hơn, nó dễ dàng đối phó hơn. Tới cái trình độ mà tứ quả La Hán rồi, cái tình dục nó đối với cái người tứ quả La Hán nó không ra gì hết á. Cái lạc của cái tứ quả La Hán nó quá sướng, nó sướng hơn cái tình dục nhiều. Thành ra tình dục, cái chuyện tình dục nó quá dễ dàng. Okay? And that's the end of today's lecture. Okay. Thank you all for coming. Next, we will do the transference for rebirth to help this all the people obtain rebirth to the Pure Land. Okay? It's the last act of kindness we're going to do today. Okay? All right. Let me mark where I'm at so that we can continue from a proper place next time around.